Storm Bowling Products, the Bowler's Company, presents the Collegiate Spotlight with Coach K. Storm's technical director, Steve Klimkin, also known as Coach K, and Above180.com's Tim Berg are going to introduce you to a variety of collegiate players, coaches, and key people involved in promoting the sport of bowling. Now here's Coach K and Tim Berg.
Joining us today on the Above180.com podcast is Ronald Hickman. For more on him, check out ronaldhickman.com. Ronald is the creator of Creating the Difference LLC. Ron also bowled collegiately at Purdue University for 4 years, was a captain there on that team. So Ron, Tim Berg, and Coach K, Steve Klimkin here. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, guys, for having me on the show.
Well, Ron, I thought we'd have you on. I had you on the Above180.com podcast. It was a while back. Wanted to talk to you now, though, about your time bowling at Purdue. 4 years, you were the captain at Purdue. So talk about what is some of the virtues and what are some of the things that have stayed with you and that you were able to learn as you bowled collegiately at Purdue?
Yeah, one of the best things that you learn when you're bowling on a team is just the whole concept of team. You know, just because you're a good player doesn't mean that your team will perform well. So ultimately, one of the lessons that I learned and it's stuff with me throughout my career is, you figure out how to be a team player, how to work with the strengths of the other players to leverage the best opportunity for the team to perform at its best. As being a part of as a captain of the team and being able to participate in a lot of the collegiate tournaments, a lot of times it was being the one to be able to know, hey, you know what, I'm struggling myself, so I need to pull myself out of the lineup, let somebody else take the spot and be able to have the know-how and the understanding that you're doing what is best for the team in all situations, even if it personally has an impact on you, is always the right thing to do. So, from a team standpoint, bowling is a sport that allows you the opportunity to compete with a team in the team format. And that's really, really advantageous long-term and when you're long done past your college career.
How was, now, were you I know you had your degree in mechanical engineering there at Purdue. Were you also, did you have a lot of other engineers there that were on the team as well?
We had a couple of engineers that were on the team. I'm actually still very close with all of my teammates, which is kind of interesting. That's one of the interesting things. When you travel with people for 3 or 4 years, you actually become really good friends outside of, after we've all graduated and we all got our own jobs. So there were a couple of engineers. One of them I still talk to probably every other week. And some of them people I talk to on a semi-daily basis. So that's one of the best parts of team bowling, too, is you make some lifelong friends, not only with your own individual team, but teams that you compete against as well.
And kind of a follow-up to that, too, as far as the engineering background and all the information you learned there at Purdue, how were you able to apply that to bowling?
So, engineering really is about, it really teaches you how to think. And the process that one needs to go through in order to learn how to appropriately think about situations. That applies to everything, whether it's bowling, whether it's your career, whether it's life, whether it's family. So the ability to gain engineering insight into how to look at certain problems, how to look at certain situations, and then translate that across my entire life has been very advantageous and beneficial. Specifically when I was in college, like I said, you could use some of the engineering principles to make the hard decisions. When the right time is to pull a player, statistically when the player bowling their best, when they're bowling their worst. There's a lot of engineering principles that can be applied to team play and college bowling in general.
So with that engineering mind and always thinking, is there a time when you just have to kind of say, okay, I'm overthinking things? Because that's a lot of us bowlers, we kind of fall into that trap of trying to overcomplicate things, overthink things. How does a bowler know when they're overcomplicating and overthinking things?
Yeah, I would tell you that's pretty simple, right? When you step on the approach, all the thinking's got to stop. That's just with anything. When it comes to the actual repetition and the actual bowling, you have to shut the brain off and just let the body go through the motions. If you don't, then you're going to, like you said, overthink, and that'll create all kinds of other physical issues and ball selection issues and that kind of stuff. So I tried to keep all the thinking before we actually stepped on the approach. Once we got on the approach, all of that was done.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of great bowlers that would agree with you there, and there's a lot of times if you step up on the approach and you're still trying to kind of work through in your mind like exactly what kind of a shot shape you're trying to create, or what kind of angle through the head you want, or if you should still be moving, any kind of indecision you still have is probably going to affect that shot. Huh?
Oh, I agree 100% with you there.
Well, Ron, right now, if you go to ronaldhicklin.com, you have a bunch of coaching packages that are available and some of the things you're doing there. So let's talk about how bowlers, I know the one thing I was looking at here that looked really interesting for me is you're talking about ball motion, ball shape, and building an arsenal. And I even was talking at my league to someone about surface adjustments and such, and just talk about how vital that is to surface adjustments for whether you're the Pete Webers of the world to the league bowlers as well, and what we can do to make different, give us a different ball motion just by taking some surface to a bowling ball.
Well, surface is a huge, huge key in ball motion. One of the funny things is when I do coaching now, I take it from that ball motion perspective. And one of the things I like to tell people is look, have you ever shot 250 and then the next game you shot 180? Well, your physical game probably didn't change a whole lot. You're probably still throwing the ball the same, but your ball motion changed. So the ability to understand what your ball is doing and if you have the appropriate motion is huge. After the bowling ball's been drilled, the really only variable you've got left to really manipulate your ball motion is the surface, whether that's polishing it up or sanding it down. So I do a lot of educating consumers when I do my lessons on how to appropriately sand your bowling ball and why you want to sand your bowling ball and why you need your bowling ball polished. And when you look at your arsenal, making sure that you've got a very wide array of things, a wide array of equipment there to be able to ultimately go into an event and be covered. Because the worst thing you can have happen to you is you go to a tournament event and then you've got 4 bowling balls that all roll the exact same. So either they all work or none of them work. So I spend a lot of time working with people on taking their arsenal, looking at it, breaking it apart, servicing their products, offering some suggestions on how to get new products in their offering that will widen the spectrum for their performance. And it's kind of tailored to each individual player as well as the types of environments that they're bowling on. If you're bowling in league environments, we'll do one type of situational arsenal setup. If you're bowling tournament environments, it's a completely different type of arsenal setup.
Is that the kind of information I did see there, a post you had where you had actually given a lesson to Terrell Owens? Is that the similar kind of stuff you were talking about there? Kind of walk us through that lesson.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I do work with Terrell as well as several other celebrities. They're just like anybody else. They want to do the best they can when they are competing. So that kind of information in terms of how to play the lanes, why to play the lanes a certain way. I'm actually on my way to do a camp right now in Atlanta where I'm going to educate on 3 main topics. The first topic is team play and what team play really means. The second topic is lane breakdown and lane transition. And the third topic is going to be their arsenals. Each of these individuals wants to learn more about making sure they have the right arsenal. They want to know not only how to be a better team, but what slot they should play in on the team and what their role is. And then ultimately they want to know when the lanes begin to change and break down, what to do. How do they keep their ball motion looking at performing at its peak, and how do they ultimately allow them to be able to succeed as a team? So a lot of that translates over to individual lessons as well as team lessons, and a lot of my celebrity friends are very appreciative of the ability to be able to get some inside information when it comes to that kind of stuff.
So, Ron, talk about creating the Difference LLC, which is your company that you have, and how your tagline is helping you think outside the box from outside the box.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool, right? So, I was let go from Everett International about 4 months ago, and they just basically said, hey, we've got some downsizing to do. You're going to be part of that. Luckily for me, we left on really, really good terms. We had a really good relationship there. I had a great time there, learned a lot of information, and I decided to go out and kind of form my own company, like you said, creating the Difference LLC. And basically, we're kind of about 3 different things. There's 3 main things that we focus on. One of them is education and STEM education, science, technology, engineering, and math, what STEM stands for. And as an engineer, I actually go around the country and I talk to teachers, I talk to students, and I talk to educators as well about how to engage their students better. Basically how to help their students find their passion and then turn their passion into careers. Because luckily for me, I was able to do that with and through bowling. So I do a lot of speaking around the country doing that. I just came back from Oak Ridge, Tennessee this week doing a speaking engagement down there for some educators. Also, there's a coaching arm of that. There's a coaching arm that you kind of touched on a little bit there where I actually do a lot of coaching for individuals, for camps. I'm actually looking at a national team who's interested in having me do some coaching for them as well. And it's part physical and then part ball motion. The physical part, I try to focus on one particular aspect that will give them the best benefit for the lesson. And then from the ball motion part, like we've discussed, it's the arsenal, it's the sanding, it's the polishing, it's the looking at the lane, it's the reading the lane, it's the understanding transition and how to combat that. And then the other side of it that also is part of it, I also am involved with there's a real estate component there. I actually have another person that was laid off from Ebonite, and we do some home restoration. And what's kind of funny about the home restoration stuff, and you'll begin to see that show up on the website this week as well as Facebook, is we actually do epoxy restoration. So epoxy is basically used in bowling as a component to make bowling balls, actually. And we use epoxy to redo countertops and redo floors. So ultimately there, what you get is you take your existing surfaces that's there, apply this epoxy over it, it's more durable, it lasts longer, it looks better, it really updates whatever surface you put it on. And it's kind of cool because, like right now, I had my house done, I had my floors and my countertops done, and they kind of look like a bowling ball, for lack of a better analogy there. But there's three main focuses of the company, creating the difference, and it's a lot of fun now. I'm actually being able to do some very cool things and leverage some really good relationships that I've been able to have with manufacturers. So it's really good.
That's awesome. Sounds really, really exciting. Yeah, a lot of stuff going on there. Hey, Ron, last question I've got for you. This time of the year now, we've got Junior Gold is coming up, which is a huge, huge tournament for a lot of young players around the country. And you had such a good experience bowling in college. What advice do you have for the younger players who are looking, trying to find the right school and trying to find the right bowling program? Purdue University may not be for everyone. They may or may not have the right kind of either schooling or bowling program that kind of matches them. What kind of advice do you have for the younger players looking to get into college bowling?
There's a couple of things there. I actually have done a lot of lessons recently with people that are doing the Junior Gold tournament in Chicago. So a couple of things. One, look at the resources that are available to you today. There are a lot of resources for information. Storm is doing a really good job with pushing the Junior Gold event and giving some information. Some of the other manufacturers are also trying to help to push that event along. So I would say definitely leverage the resources that are available. When you get to Junior Gold, remember that you're there to have fun. You're there to compete. You're there to do the best you can, but you also want to have fun. A lot of the relationships that you may have or that you may form at Junior Gold to get you to go to the right kind of college are going to be there. So you definitely want to make sure that you don't just bowl your block in and leave. And if you bowl your block and you bowl back, don't just leave. You want to kind of hang around. You want to kind of experience as much of it as you can, because that is the one time where you're going to have so many people in the similar type locations that can actually get you more information about college bowling, get you to go to the next step, find some players that you may become friends with, find some of your current classmates there that you may say, hey, well, we enjoy these things. So really take full advantage of that event. And I would tell you, I'm actually going to be there for a couple of days as well because of the exact same reason. I mean, there is a ton of opportunity there to be able to meet new people, learn information, experience what it's like to bowl on a very challenging pattern, which some people have never done before. This will be their first time doing that. And ball manufacturing will be there. I mean, it's a great, great opportunity. So I would definitely say make sure you fully leverage your opportunity when you're there.
Great stuff, Ron. And the one thing that I would say, like you said, it probably helps. How can young bowlers, how can they mentally prepare themselves for this? Because a lot of them, this is probably the biggest competition they've bowled.
Well, a couple things there. You want to, one, remember the format. It's a longer format, so just because you have one bad game doesn't mean that that's the end of the tournament, one. Two, the environment's going to be tough, so it's not going to be, 260s, 270s every game. If you have a 2-0 game, that's a great game. So keep that in mind. You get kind of caught up, especially if you go in a lot of leagues, that you've got to have a 230 average to be able to go anywhere, but that doesn't happen at Junior Gold. So definitely make sure you can keep that topical. And then another thing, like I said, if you're there and while you're bowling, if you do have a bad game, try to learn from it. Well, what did I do wrong here? Did I make a bad shot? Did I have the wrong ball to my hand? Try to understand what was the culprit there, and then that allows you to recuperate a whole lot faster. And once again, it becomes a learning experience. I tell you, Junior Gold is an amazing event because it allows you to see things that you would never normally get to see and experience. So definitely, if you have a bad game, it's not the end of the world. And remember that, you're there ultimately to have some fun too. So enjoy it while you're there.
Well, great stuff. Again, check out ronaldhickland.com, ronaldhickland.com. Ron, it's been a pleasure having you on again, and by all means, if there's ever anything we can do here for you, the Storm Collegiate Spotlight, we'd love to do that, and by all means, be in touch, okay?
Absolutely. I appreciate the ability to come out here and talk to you guys, and I'm sure we will find something that we will be able to do together. I really appreciate it.